Imagine you make $50,000 a year. Congratulations, in 2015, that was a starter life. In 2026, that is a vibe. A challenging vibe. I checked my bank app and immediately closed it vibe. And by the end of this, you'll know the real number it takes today to live the life that 50K bought 11 years ago, because the official answer and the real life answer are not even in the same group chat. If you're roughly 25 to 35, or anyone still treating 50 grand like, honestly, not bad for my age, pull up a chair, or a floor, whatever you can afford. That number used to mean rent that hurt but didn't end you, a used car that wasn't a medical emergency, and a down payment fantasy that was delusional in a cute way. In 2026, people still earn right around there. Teachers, junior, everything. Support roles, healthcare-adjacent jobs that save lives and still lose to a one-bedroom. The plot twist? You didn't fail adulthood. The price tags moved while the offer letter stayed on the same font size, so no vibes only segment. We're running the same 50K through 2015 and 2026, like a side-by-side that should come with a content warning. Flashback. A lot of millennials are graduating, first job maxing, pretending avocado toast was the villain. Median existing home in the US, about $222,000. Against a 50K salary, that's roughly 4.4 times your annual pay. Still a stretch. Not sell a kidney on the group chat territory, especially if you had a partner, family help, or the radical strategy of not living in the most expensive zip code on earth. Average rent, about $994 a month. That's about 24% of a 50K gross paycheck. Borderline responsible. Your financial advisor would have nodded once and gone back to their yacht. Metaphorical yacht, probably. Crude math, because we're among friends. $50,000 covered about 50 months of that average rent. Over 4 years of roof before the whole salary vanishes into drywall and a landlord who doesn't do texting. A typical new car, call it $33,000 to $34,000. So new car, about 2/3 of a year's pay. Aggressive, slightly unhinged, but new car equals your entire existence. Wasn't the national joke yet. People bought used and only mildly hated themselves. Groceries, gas, phone plan, none of it was free. Inflation was basically napping. The story people told was still mostly true. 50K was mid-early career money that could fund a plain adult life if you weren't role-playing Manhattan main character without the trust fund DLC. Picture it. You're 24 in 2015. Offer letter says 50. You get a one-bedroom that isn't a crime scene. You open a Roth with the scraps. Nobody gifts you equity, but the ladder is visible. Save mean for 3 to 5 years and a starter place is a stretch goal, not fan fiction. Here's the cliffhanger. That same number, 50,000, is still showing up on 2026 offer letters like nothing happened. The digits did not get the memo. The economy absolutely did. June 2026, National Association of Realtors. Median existing home price, $440,600, same 50K salary. That house is now about 8.8 times your annual pay. Not a little spicy, roughly double the multiple. If 2015 was hard mode, 2026 is hard mode with the controller unplugged and the landlord charging for Wi-Fi that doesn't work. Percent down on that median, about 88,000. In 2015, 20% down was around 44,000, under 1 year of 50K. If you lived like a monk who only buys store brand oats. Today, that down payment is closer to 1.8 years of your entire salary. Before closing costs, before rates, before insurance politely ruins your afternoon. And rates? Oh, they brought friends. When mortgages aren't living in the 3% nostalgia era, the payment on the same price jumps. So even if the headline price only doubled, the monthly cost can feel worse than double. Math is undefeated. You are not. Rent. Average in this series, about $1,700 a month. On 50 culture gross, that's about 41% of pay to rent alone. The old keep housing under a third rule of thumb is in the group chat saying I'm dead. You're past comfort and into please nothing break, including me. Months of rent? 50 culture dollars now? About 29. You lost roughly 20 months of runway versus 2015. Same dollars, shorter fuse. Congrats on the promotion to stress. Be honest, when was the last time 50K felt like breathing room? Not a supervised visit with your checking account. Cars. Average new vehicle transaction prices hanging around 49 to 50,000. So the average new car is basically your whole annual salary. 2015, 2/3. 2026, 1-to-1 trade. 12 months of labor for the keys, then gas, insurance, and a check engine light that costs more than your personality. Insurance, deductibles. The little monthly goblins, they don't always headline the inflation discourse, but they show up on a 50K cash flow plan like uninvited roommates who never chip in for TP. Geography still matters. Before the comment section does cardio, 50Ks in a lower cost metro can still fund a plain life. 50Ks in a coastal superstar market is a different product with the same barcode. National median equals typical America mirror, not your specific cursed zip. Half the national rent? Your multiple looks kinder. Double it? The 2015 story is already archived. Scoreboard so far. Same 50Ks, home multiple roughly doubled. Rent ate a bigger slice of your soul. New car math went from aggressive to stand-up special. Geography can soften or sharpen the hit. The national ladder still got steeper for almost everyone watching this on their phone during lunch they can't really afford. If it ended there, you'd already know why your budget feels haunted. But there's a plot twist people use to shut this whole conversation down. Let's be annoying and open it anyway. Official inflation has a clean number. Of course it does. Clean numbers love PowerPoint, using BLS Consumer Price Index math. 2015 average CPI versus June 2026. $50,000 in 2015 has about the same buying power as $70,449 today. Roughly 41% cumulative inflation on the broad basket. So the textbook reply is, just make $70,000 and you're even. Cool, love that for us. Someone tell payroll, that number isn't fake. TVs got relatively less evil. Some goods actually behaved. Broad CPI is a real tool. If your uncle says, everything is twice as expensive, the BLS will correctly reply, not everything, not twice. Please stop yelling at the potato chips. But you don't pay rent with a broad basket. You pay rent with rent. You buy a starter life with housing, transportation, and insurance. The stuff that body-slammed wallets after 2021 while wages did the slow clap. To hold the same home price to income multiple you had with 50K in 2015, that 4.4 times ratio against a $440,600 median, you'd need about $100,000 a year. Not 70, 100. That's the loop answer. Write it on a sticky note. Tape it to the part of your brain that still believes your parents' advice was inflation adjusted. CPI world. About 70,400 replaces 50K. Starter life world, housing multiple. About 100,000 replaces 50K. Official number closes the spreadsheet. Housing number closes the life. Why the gap? CPI averages a whole cart. Electronics that fall in price, services that crawl, shelter that uppercuts. If shelter is a monster share of your budget and shelter outran the average, your personal inflation runs hotter than the headline. That's not conspiracy. That's composition. Boring word. Painful result. So what does 50K still buy in 2026? A foothold if you play the game that actually exists. Live somewhere that isn't influencer rent. Drive used, not new. Keep it longer than the algorithm wants. Split housing with a partner, roommate, or family for a defined season. Yes, defined. Forever on the couch is not a plan. It's a sitcom. Treat the next raise as recovery of lost power, not permission to upgrade your DoorDash personality. Build a skill the market actually tips. Waiting for cost of living fairy dust is not a strategy. It's a coping mechanism. 50K is not broke in every county in America. It is no longer the quiet middle-class starter ticket it was in 2015 for a solo adult in a typical market. Two people, at 50K each, 100,000 household, can still cosplay a version of that older ladder. One person at 50K alone, in median-priced America, same jersey number, much harder game. Label stayed. Product inside the label changed. Classic rebrand. Hate to see it. Had to clock it. Loop time. No more suspense. You've suffered enough. What would it take in 2026 to live the same life $50,000 bought in 2015? By broad inflation, about $70,400. By the housing multiple that actually defined adult starter life, about $100,000. Same paycheck on paper, roughly half the home buying power, way fewer months of rent, and a new car that costs a full year of your labor. If that feels personal, that's because it is. You now know why I make what my older coworkers made at my age is a trap sentence. They made it in a different price universe. Comparing those numbers without context is like comparing flip phones to whatever is tracking your sleep and judging you. One clear next action, not a 47-step morning routine. Open notes, 3 lines. That's it. 1. Rent or mortgage divided by monthly take-home. If it's over about 35%, the 2015 playbook does not apply to you. Stop gaslighting yourself with a rulebook from a cheaper decade. 2. Income you'd need for a roughly 4.5 times home multiple in your zip. Local median divided by 4.5. Local, not Twitter's median. 3. One lever this year. Skill that raises pay. Move that lowers housing, or housemate math with an end date. Pick the lever. Put a 90-day date on it. The economy is not going to reverse engineer 2015 for your comfort. You redesign the stack, or the stack redesigns your weekends into anxiety. If this put numbers under a feeling you've had for years, save it. Send it to the friend still saying 50K should be enough like it's 2015 and the algorithm is asleep.